And we are live. Hello, everybody.
We have a guest today.
Yeah, we've got baby's first D&D commentary. Oh, our little buddy. That's cute. That's D&D Dad Son's latest son.
There's no daughters allowed.
He takes the mantle after McKay.
What's that? Yeah.
Get a mantle.
Man, the weather's been crazy. It's been cold. We're doing this live stream kind of on the cusp. Well, not the cusp. Kind of like in the middle of this winter storm throughout the country, and it's nuts. But we've been staying warm inside with fires going and
heaters and stuff.
Yeah, no power outages or anything. So we've actually been very fortunate. Hopefully, other people across the country are doing okay. All right. You know what else is in the news though, other than this like storm thing, is all this craziness going on in Minnesota. Isn't that nuts? Like, oh, okay, we got some yelling going on upstairs.
You couldn't hear it, so it's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, so all this stuff going on in Minnesota, it's crazy. Like all these psychotic leftists are just kind of, going nuts, and like they're actually organizing themselves very strategically. Like Matt Morse talked about this on his channel, where he has like he's showing evidence, or it's been leaked, that they are like taking shifts, they're clocking in and out, they're using code names and things like that, and they are segmenting themselves off into zones and things like that, to find ice and do all their tactics and stuff like that. And then they whine and complain when one of them gets shot, and it's like, you are kind of like agitating for something to happen, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of exactly what you're doing. And it's, if you show up with a gun, and then you're like, getting right in their face and like interfering with their operations, and you think that everything's going to go fine. Weirdest thing, today I went about my business, and I didn't interfere in any like.
And you didn't get shot?
Yeah, and I didn't get shot today. It's just the weirdest thing.
Crazy.
It's strange.
Yeah. I had this leftist girl. She's super sweet otherwise, but she tried to tell me that the girl who hit ice with her car, she didn't actually hit them with her car, and she didn't do anything, and he shot her for no reason.
Yeah, I think they aren't showing the footage, like his body cam footage, because that really kind of shows you that he got hit.
Yeah.
Like they're not showing that to the leftist news media, so they haven't even seen it. So yeah, a lot of barbaric stuff going on around the country. I hope that things.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if they took all this motivation and put it into a job.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, start a business.
Best McDonald's workers ever.
So yeah, there's a lot of barbarism going on, which kind of leads us to our topic, barbarians. So I came across on Facebook this RPG. It was like an advertisement, and it looked very intriguing. And I'll show you. Give me a second. Present or invite. Share screen. Let's see, I'll share my entire screen. Sorry, I'm feeling a little sick. All right, add to stage. Okay, so this is called Reaver. So Reaver, Sword and Sorcery role-playing game created by Joseph Salvador. And I actually found this very interesting because I saw the tagline was more grit and less Gonzo, which is appealing to me because I am not a fan of Gonzo stuff really. I just don't really like weirdness, and so I saw that and it was like, oh wow, yeah, you know what? If I were to play a sword and sorcery RPG, I would want something that would be like that with more grit and less Gonzo. So this is the Kickstarter. Now the Kickstarter is closed. I guess it's over, but you can pre-order at Raven God Games, which is the company or that produced it, right? That's Joseph Salvador's company, Raven God Games. And so you go here and you can it says pre-order today, and it gives a little bit of an about. If you go to the store, and it gives you some options. There's like a quick start guide, and then here's like if you want, I guess it's available in hard or soft cover. Let's click on that right now. I think $59.99 is the hard cover, and I think it's also available in soft cover. It looks like this one's just showing the hard cover. It looks like you do need an additional die, a D4, or two additional die, D14, D16. So a little bit like DCC or Dungeon Crawl Classics, where there's some weird dice in there. So it is there's some unusualness in there, but this looks like a really attractive book. What are your thoughts on this, Abigail?
I think, can you zoom in on that art?
I'm going to try to.
I think it's really pretty, and it sounds really cool.
Yeah, that picture is great, I think. Like, it's almost like they resurrected Frank Frazetta and had him do the cover.
He's not dead, right?
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks
Wait,
cool.
no, isn't Frank Frazetta alive?
No, he's dead.
Wait, no, you're lying. I swear he's alive.
I think you're thinking of San Julian.
Yeah, I am.
San Julian's still alive, but Frank Frazetta is gone. So, but anyway, no, I this makes me think of, it's obviously Frank Frazetta inspired. It's excellent artwork on that cover. It looks really good. And if I were to like design a sword and sorcery book, I would want it to look like this. You know what I mean? I think Joseph Salvador just nailed the look on this really well.
It looks so amazing.
Yeah. So if we go ahead and let's look and see what else. Okay, sorry, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Here's your barbarian. Now this barbarian's got a kind of an ugly face, so I'm not sure he'd get as many women as Conan would, but but he sure looks mean and tough.
I mean, Conan is basically Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I don't know how he wouldn't.
But anyway, this kind of gives you like stats and stuff. Here's an advancement table. Now, one interesting thing about here, because they get like a defense bonus, looks like. They use a different die for their defense. So I think in this one, there's like, I don't know if there's like an armor class, but the defender, the guy who's getting attacked, rolls to like parry or defend himself. So it's a little different from D&D, where you're just rolling against an armor class number, right? And if you don't make the number, then it's presumed that the guy kind of parried or used his shield or whatever, kind of glanced off the armor kind of thing. But this is in this one, it's like the defender rolls a die to defend himself, which I'm not sure I really love that idea, just to be honest with you, because I feel like that might slow combat down a little bit. But I know that Palladium Games does that. So Rifts and like Heroes Unlimited and all those types does like the defender rolls a die, and I think the combat in that game's a little clunky. That was actually Mom's feedback about that once. I got her to play a session of Heroes Unlimited with me when you two were just babies. You might not even have been born yet, Abigail.
You got Mom to play D&D with you?
Heroes Unlimited, yeah. Yeah,
That's
it was a long time ago. I don't think she liked it, but yeah, anyway, so this looks really cool though. Like it's got some different abilities and such. He's got battle prowess, danger sense, fleet-footed. And I think that like the barbarian class is going to be the bread and butter of this type of RPG. So it's good that he showed this, and it kind of gives you a bit of an idea of what's involved here. So we have character classes, which is something that is, reminiscent of, D&D. And then there's also something called careers. I guess this is kind of like, I think this gives you maybe a list of skills, because this is like maybe what you were before you went on your adventure. So as long as it, yeah, as long as it doesn't get like too bogged down, because skill systems can get kind of annoying, and not all skills are really as useful as others, and so that's a problem. But as long as it doesn't get too bogged down into skills, because I know that Palladium books really did like the skills system was immense, and it took forever to create your character because you're choosing skills off of this huge list, and a lot of the stuff just didn't make sense for making a character anyway. It's like, why would my character want a degree in botany, and like, what's it got to do with what I'm doing? You know what I mean? So anyway, so as long as a lid is kept on this and it's not getting carried away too much, I think that's fine. But one thing I do like, so this has got like it's got like a world, a setting, and it's a lot like an ancient world that's very kind of reminiscent of, our ancient world, I guess. This even looks a little bit reminiscent of the Aegean Sea and the Black Sea almost. It's kind of cool. So let me see if I can. Actually, that's not really great. Let me see if I can find the map on here. I know that showed the map. Here's the setting. So here's the setting. So there's some of these cities are actually like, the same as like real cities. Like there's a Tarsus, right? So, and then there's a Sardis. There's a Corinthia, which is very close to Corinth. And there's also concepts of there's Picts, Picts, and what was the other group that just kind of like were pulled from like real world, so it's kind of like a lot of influence or inspiration from real world history is involved in here, but it's definitely, it's not supposed to be authentic to history. It's its own world, and it is it's its own setting. So here's the story. For more than 7 centuries, the bloody-handed empire of Thrax, which I think is kind of like your Roman Empire, has ruled supreme in the Cenorian Sea, which is probably kind of like your Mediterranean Sea, right? But the Thraxian age is slowly grinding to a close. Once conquered peoples have thrown off the imperial yoke, winning their freedom with steel and guile. Sinister cults worship demons and dreaming gods, and power-hungry sorcerers converse with things unknown. Strange black ships ply the northern sea, and the priest king of Chem's machinations spread the sinister influence of Set. So Set is like Set was like a real like Egyptian god, or well, real. He was actually worshipped in Egypt, right? And he's kind of been kind of seen as like a bit of like an evil god, and he's used as like an evil snake god in a lot of like RPGs and stuff even now. So wild ape men harass the West. Into this milieu come reavers, adventurers, mercenaries, thieves, and conquerors, each seeking their own fortunes. Who knows how these unaligned forces might shift the tides of fate? So in this game, you play a human being, right? So there's no elves, there's no dwarves, you don't play anything like that. Think like Conan movies, or like, sword sorcery movies from the 80s, that kind of thing. And that's what you're playing. So it might be like, you can probably see here, these look like ape men guys. So you could confront these things and fight them, but they're not going to be a character class or race or whatever that you can play. Does that make sense?
That's sad. Elves, they're just so cool to me.
It's a different genre, sweetie. It's like when you're playing this, you're not scratching the itch of, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's more like, it's less of the magic and more of like the actual fighting, right?
Yeah, it is kind of like, it's low fantasy, low magic kind of thing, and yeah, magic is a lot rarer.
It's kind of just like sci-fi, pretty much. Less fantasy,
maybe, like old-fashioned sci-fi before there was developed science. I don't know.
Yeah, like, what's her name? I can't think of her name, but she was the one that wrote the book Dragon Song. It's like a really old science fiction. I think you got it for me. And this is what it kind of reminds me of, like less magic and more like just a different world with different things. And
yeah. Here's another paragraph here. So Reaver seeks to replicate the style of sword and sorcery that is a simple sidestep from historical adventure fiction, and is inspired by works created by Robert E. Howard. That's Conan, right? Charles Saunders, I'm not familiar with him, and Bernard Cornwell, I don't know him either. This might be actually, Bernard Cornwell might be more contemporary, because it says The Last Kingdom, and that's like a series on Netflix. So, and Simon Scarrow. So the only one I really recognized was Robert E. Howard and potentially Bernard Cornwell. But anyway, I know the genre, like I know what they're going for. Reaver couples heroism, dark sorcery, and weird horror, and with gritty realism and a pseudo historical setting. So I don't like the word weird to pop up too much, but it's talking about weird horror, which is okay, because that's really kind of like gives you like this sense of strange, horrific things. You know what I mean? Instead of like Gonzo weird, whatever. So that's something that I find really interesting. So let's see. He's talking about podcasts. He has a die chain mechanic. I don't quite know what the deal is there, although like we had talked about just a few minutes ago, there is a D14 and a D16 involved in this. So, some additional dice, but not quite as much as you would be required for like Dungeon Crawl Classics, for instance, right? So here's characters. Characters in Reaver have 6 attributes, and these are basically the attributes from D&D. They're just renamed, which is kind of gives me, I guess, a sense of being in a different genre. But brawn is strength, agility is probably dexterity, stamina is constitution, cunning would be wisdom probably, or intelligence, and intuition probably maybe wisdom, right? Presence, charisma. So and an ancestry that denotes their background and nationality. Now, ancestry here makes sense because they're all human beings, right? And so we're not really kind of getting into this whole, oh, don't say race, it's racist. Racist. You know, it's like it's using the word ancestry because all the playable characters are human beings, and so whatever. It kind of denotes their nationality. A class encompasses their core role. So I think class would be up here as the barbarian. Character classes is what it says on the side here. And then careers depict the character's general skills. The character classes include the barbarian, berserker, fighter, magus or magus, probably magus, priest, rogue, scout, and sorcerer. The priest has some subclasses, druid, shaman, and theist, and the sorcerer subclasses, hermeticist, mystic, and witch. Each have 3 subclasses. Okay, so all right, it says no skills. Okay, so that's interesting. No skills, because it kind of looked like when I was looking at the careers, I was thinking, uh-oh, are we drifting into the skills territory here? And it looks like no, that's what it says. So there's no dedicated skill system. Instead, careers grant the character a feature, which may be mechanical or based in narrative, and an assumed set of skills. Okay. A sailor can swim, operate a ship, and navigate. A wanderer knows the lore of people and places. An assassin is sneaky, knows about poisons, and has an understanding of anatomy.
Okay, so basically the careers are just, they're not skills, but like they're just additions to what you have, right?
Well, I think it's like you don't have to like notate down every skill you have. Like, oh, I've got, plus 30% in botany or whatever, like Palladium book style. But it's more like, all right, my guy, it was a sailor, so I know that he can sail a ship, he can navigate, he can do things related to boats. Go with that. And then you kind of play that way, So that makes sense. But instead of like being actuarial and just kind of notating this long list of skills, and then character creation takes hours and like that. So all right. Oh, this looks interesting. They're throwing rocks at them and stuff.
Ooh. Oh, that kind of reminds me of
Fire and Ice.
No, what? Yes, but also, what's his name? Deja Thoris. I mean, the man.
Oh,
yeah.
John Carter of Mars. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Deja Thoris. Yeah. Yeah. So it says there's player-facing combat. All characters gain melee and ranged attack dice, as well as defense die. So here we go. So this is like you roll for defense. Interesting feature. Not sold on that, but might be, curious to know more about it. I know that live plays of this are online, so if people want to check out Reaver play tested, and they can go on YouTube and watch it actually, which is really good. So
I feel like the defense die is working more towards the Conan the Barbarian style inspiration, where you have these characters running around and basically just like a loincloth. So you'd need some sort of different system to,
instead of armor class,
to subset the difference without armor.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Josh, because like in the sword and sorcery, people are like virtually naked most of the time. They don't wear a lot, so they're not going to have much that they can bring their armor class down with. You know what I mean? So so maybe that's kind of what some of the rationale behind that. That's a great point. The DM is the chronicler. And all right. So, for example, an 8-man berserker flies into a rage to attack, imposing a -2d penalty to your defense die, but they don't focus on defending themselves, granting you a +1d bonus to attack them in return. Okay. Anyway, I don't. Yeah. So there's dark sorcery, magic and sword and sorcery fiction is never exact and is always dangerous. Reaver follows suit with roll to cast system. All right, so no Vancian magic, which is good. That's a good thing.
Wait,
And,
which one is it that we roll to cast? Right, we do.
Well, yeah, we've substituted Vancian magic for roll to cast in our Dragon Slayer campaign. So there's a lot of things that I am not crazy about with Vancian magic, but I do prefer the concept of roll to cast for several reasons. But I do understand and appreciate that Vancian magic works very well in D&D as resource management, right? And so if you can just kind of use it like that, then kind of makes sense. It's just like I hate the idea of like, oh, I forgot how to do magic. I have to study again because I forgot right after I did it, and it's like that's dumb. I just come up with something else, to to explain the ability to only cast a spell once a day. Like forgetting how to do it is silly. So, characters have a sorry.
Oh, what? Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know if you remember. Characters have a sorcery die that improves as they gain levels. With it, they make sorcery feats to successfully cast spells. Failure results in a sorcery die degrading 1 die step. If the die is ever fully degraded, you can't cast spells again until you rest. When you roll a 1 on a sorcery feat, you've miscast the spell, causing some catastrophe. And when you cast black magic spells, you may become corrupted. So that sense of corruption probably is the same as in Dungeon Crawl Classics, where you start to the spellcaster will start to look deformed and stuff like that, and that's the corruption. It's like a physical corruption of the person, right? So
They'll start to look like that one janitor who worked overtime at Chernobyl.
Yep.
Wait, is it the guy that turned blue?
Still there, cleaning the halls.
Yeah. He's like, I know that like the reactor core just exploded, but I'm behind rent, man. I can't.
So there's a few meta currency concepts in here, and that if you remember talking to RPG Pundit about meta currency and what that is, basically you have like resolve points that you can expend. So you have this store of this cache of points that you can use at certain intervals and junctions if you want to increase your probabilities or whatever. So you can use resolve to try and hit somebody, to improve dice rolls, activate abilities, recover vitality, and do heroic deeds. As you spend resolve, the DM, the chronicler, gains their own resource. It's called peril, which allows the adversaries to reply in kind. So that's interesting. All right, so for the setting, Reaver RPG includes the Sagas of Senor campaign setting. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know what that is. Taking cues from Robert E. Howard's style of world building, Saga of Senor embraces gritty realism and is inspired largely by our own ancient world, allowing players and chroniclers to dive in without too much learning. So that's good. You don't want to have to like learn this whole weird world, you know what I mean, and like get it wrong. If it's something like, yeah, I'm basically familiar with what to expect here, then that's easier for the DM. Let's see. Without being directly analogous, the places and cultures of Sonor are inspired by historical or mythological peoples ranging from Northern Europe to the Near East and Western Africa. All PCs are human, but they are not defined by their ancestry. It only informs the character's possible origin. All right, so Sonor is a vast world with uncounted possibilities, allowing chroniclers to tell any sort of story they like. Adventures in cities or the wilds, in tundra or jungle, dungeon crawls, heists, war, political intrigue, and cosmic horror. These and many more are all possible. The setting encompasses 40 plus pages and will explore geography, religions, calendar, the night sky, and worlds beyond the mundane. The other world, the dreamlands, Hades, and other realms exist alongside the mortal world, and the unnatural entities of these places occasionally make their way into the mundane plane to harass humanity. It is up to the PCs to deal with such foes. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And like I said, like to me, this map almost seems familiar. Like I'm looking at the Aegean Sea here, and this looks like Greece. And it even said like Niklos and Corinthia. These are very Greek names, you know. And then here's your Thraxian Empire, which is kind of like your Roman Empire. So that kind of fits in there pretty well. And then here's your Scythica, where your Scythians are from. And I'm not sure where the Picts came from, but I'm pretty sure they're in here. So you can get a digital edition for $18, I guess, from the Kickstarter at least. But of course, the Kickstarter's closed. But you can, of course, go onto their website. Hold on a second. Let me. If we go to the store, there is a quick start guide that you can get for free. There is you get character sheets, and then you can pre-order the book. So I guess they're not offering a PDF yet. They're probably still actually getting the book all formatted and everything. So they probably don't have a PDF to offer at this point. But yeah, it's going to be a nice hardcover book. And I was listening to Joseph Salvador talk about it. He said like he wanted it to be a quality book. So it's, a well-made hardcover book, kind of like those original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons books were, and they've held up really well over time, unless you're talking about Unearthed Arcana or something. But so if we go back to the Kickstarter, yeah, see they were offering through the Kickstarter a softcover edition. That's where that came from. Probably they'll keep offering that at some point. I don't know when. But I'd love to actually discuss this a little bit more with Joseph Salvador. So this is like an open invitation, Joe, if you want to come on the show and talk about Reaver. We'd love to discuss it with you and what's being offered now that the Kickstarter is closed and things like that. And also just about the game, questions about how it works and things like that. Oh, look at this. If you had this kind of cash to dump $1,000, you would get 4 Reaver RPG hardcovers, a Barbarian t-shirt, and the creator will run a virtual one-shot scenario for you and 3 friends.
That's cool.
Yeah.
If we were rich, we should do that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. It looks like it comes with a screen, a DM screen, in the Kickstarter. So that was unlocked, and hopefully they'll have prints of these things on the website afterwards. Once this has all been distributed and they're able to kind of sell it off of their website. So, but here's Here's the team, Joseph Salvador, kind of the brainchild of this whole thing. And then here's some of the artists that have worked on it. And from what I've seen, the art looks awesome. You know, I really like it. Yeah, it's great stuff. So I like this map. I think that's really cool. And so it's got a cool setting. It's got, you know, some great sword and sorcery art. And yeah, and I love the cover. The cover is...
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is great. Like, it's like Frank Frazetta. I love the look of it. Just really good. Now, here's the thing that interests me in this so much is the tagline when I found this on Facebook was more grit and less gonzo. And that hooked me in because I was like, hey, you know, for a while I was kind of looking around like, is there a sword and sorcery RPG out there that is like worthwhile? And there's lots of options out there, but for one reason or another, I don't know, I haven't felt really strongly about any of them. I'll show you one that is very popular. So it's called Hyperborea, right? So this is by Jeff Talanian, who knew and I think might have played with Gary Gygax. Anyway, he's a good dude, and he's got this Hyperborea well-respected game. It's got great art in it and everything. Here, let me see if I can show you. These are some of the newer covers here. Here's your referee's manual. That's basically your DM book. Selling some merch. There's some sword and sorcery stuff. There's modules and things you can get with really cool art on it. Here's the core books. So this is like the player's book, right? And then this is the DM's guide. And they both look really cool, like great covers, and you know, very good for that genre. The one thing that kind of, I guess, turns me off personally, because I think this is a great game. It's a lot like AD&D, Sword and Sorcery. The one thing that me personally kind of makes me go meh is the weird science fantasy part right here.
Oh, you don't like the word weird, do you?
No, the weird science fantasy. I feel like that just doesn't fit into what I'm looking for in a sword and sorcery experience, right? So that's my personal thoughts on that. And that's why the more grit and less gonzo is like, oh, actually, I like the sound of that because I'm not really. I see this weird science. Can you see that this is like a crashed spaceship or something? And the art's cool, and there's like dead aliens inside, you know. But like, I don't want to see that kind of thing in my sword and sorcery. You know what I mean? I just don't really want to. So that kind of turns me off just enough that I'm not sure I can take the leap on Hyperborea. But another thing is like the setting in Hyperborea is weird to me. I don't really, because it's like a flat Earth, and yeah, and it's just like really strange, like a flat Earth, and I don't know. Like that to me, that's like I can't. That kind of like turns me off.
Disc in space.
Yeah. It's just it's
too pushing everything off the edge.
Yeah, weird stuff like that. I don't like that. You know, it's too weird. So, yeah. So that's why. I mean, this is a great game. If a lot of love for Hyperborea out there, and the art is awesome. Like if we go to let's go to the store. And yeah, so we've got like different let's see, bundles and such. So just different things you can buy. Yeah, this is I guess, what is a giant hex? I don't know.
A game table, I think.
Well, this looks like a map of the world. I don't know. Atlas of Hyperborea. Let's take a look at that. 16 sectors. Yeah, Hyperborea is a flat Earth realm hemmed in by the mystical Boreas, North Wind. Yeah, I don't like that too much. It's and then if you got to like learn this weird setting, I don't know. I don't know. I don't personally care for that, but I understand that a lot of people love this game, and I can understand why. Look at the art here on Hyperborea. Like, what doesn't it look awesome?
The art is so pretty.
Yeah, and it just looks really cool. Yeah, but anyway, I think according to my own preferences that Reaver is kind of more my style. Now, I don't know what you guys think, if you guys agree about, what would make good Sword Sorcery or whatever, but what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I would be really interested to play both. I mean, I would really like to see how a campaign in Hyperborea. I'd really be interested to see how that one goes. This one too, it sounds really fun. I'm just kind of sad that I can't be an elf. It's my favorite.
What about you, Sonny?
I feel like both are good, but what would scratch that sword and sorcery itch for me is to be able to like have your character be like very much fit into that sort of power fantasy that comes with the sword and sorcery stuff. And I don't know too much about either of the systems to be able to judge them too much off that.
Okay. Yeah, well, in Hyperborea, Abigail, there's no elves in there either. But there are like strange human races, so Atlanteans and things like that. So
you don't get elves.
I know.
No elves, no.
McKay will never have the best night of his life.
It's just the wrong genre, right? Like, if you want to do elves, then you're talking more like a Tolkien-esque kind of thing, or setting, right? So high fantasy, whatever, like that. So anyway, yeah, no, I think this is cool. So I would love to learn more about it. Joseph Salvador, love to meet you, talk to you about it. And I hope that things are going well at this juncture in your, fulfillment of your Kickstarter. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else might come of this. So thanks everybody for joining. We've had 2 or 3 people on the Kickstarter, or not the Kickstarter, on our live stream watching. No comments, but hopefully people have been enjoying it, and of course people are going to watch afterward, and hopefully they'll enjoy and be interested in what this is. This is kind of cool. I think it's worth highlighting. So all right, you guys, have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.